We're back, like the Renegade Master.
Once again.
Absolutely. So it's actually back now. I know we've said this 14,000 times. But
back just for how long?
Until we can be bothered stopping again. Yeah. But no.
Like the professionals we are.
We're on Spotify and Podcast Apple. Everywhere you get your podcasts, this is coming back. And this is going on the main channel just to whet your appetite.
And then...
everything will be on the Driving Ohm channel, which is in the description of every video. The link is in there. So
the channel that everyone forgot about.
Yeah. And it got demonetized because we didn't upload enough.
No, it's just time constraints on it more than anything.
So yes, we're back, and we've got a fake sponsor because I didn't know whether to do.
Is it a sponsor?
It's not. It's genuinely not a sponsor. Before anyone says anything, but I think people don't like sellouts.
Don't know.
No.
You're quite thirsty?
I am a bit thirsty. Sorry. I should have had a drink. Oh, thank you very much. Right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put this here.
Yeah.
Just so I know when it is.
Is this the choice of a younger generation?
It is absolutely a choice of a younger generation. So yes, I'll put that there just so it's about the same. So it looks like we've placed them.
This is what people would do, isn't it? It's interior design sort of things.
Yeah, and do you know what else I've been doing off camera? I've been working out and check my check.
That is amazing.
Oh, I mean,
it's even got your name on there.
Michelin. Michelin, yeah. So yeah, I thought if I do that, you can see the muscle profile of
really
everything
good,
I built up.
Yes, it's worked really well for that.
I see you've been working out as well.
I've got this little fella on my arm here. I'm not sure what that is. It could wash out.
Some sort of it's Ghostbusters top.
That's Ghostbusters top, yeah.
Yeah,
I do like Ghostbusters.
So yeah, this is. It's not actually sponsored by anybody. We thought we'd do a fake sponsorship and nothing to do with the brand ambassadorship at all.
That light's getting in my eyes a little bit.
Well, yeah. Hopefully you can see us, but yeah, because the light for filming is quite bad, really, isn't it? So that's better actually. I can
see.
There we go.
I can adjust that slightly.
I can see the
camera.
camera.
Know who has a head that small.
So yeah, I mean, so when it comes to sellout, does it bother you when a YouTube video gets sponsorship? Because we're fake sponsoring, we're doing it right.
I think it's terrible.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think it's terrible when people sell out.
It is.
We've got morals,
and it's like that, isn't it? On Wayne's World when he's not here. I think it's just really sad that people do anything for money.
Oh my God, I've got a headache.
If you're listening,
take two of these.
Small yellow. If anybody's not watching this and they're listening to it, it won't mean much, will it?
No, we've completely ruined the medium.
It's the fact it's a podcast and you can't see that we're wearing.
So I've got a hat on. Forget it.
You'll have to go on the channel to see it. So yes, not sponsored by, but. Who knows? Given how popular it was last time, it will be so.
We did really well, didn't we?
We got to 7th, I think, in the automotive podcast charts
out of 8.
I don't know these charts.
I don't know how they work.
I don't know the word because it can't possibly. I can't imagine we were 7th.
I can't.
But I kept on seeing lots of tables that it sends you on the.
Everywhere I went, though, people did recognise my voice.
So eventually we're going to get that big as this podcast when it relaunches that people will be begging to fake sponsor it.
They will. We're doing voiceovers for adverts for all sorts of stuff.
Would you like some new tyres?
Yes, I certainly would. Hi, Jeff.
Movie voices? I could do movie voices. Coming soon. Oh, I see. There we go. Anyway, should we get on topic?
No, let's do this for a bit longer.
Yeah, if anybody is unfamiliar with this, driving... In fact, the name, we haven't told them the name. Driving Ohm. OHM.
See, clever.
Get it?
Yeah.
Get it? And that's the name of the second channel as well. So you can see where we're going here.
Yeah.
So when you're driving Ohm, you can listen to the podcast.
That's it. Fantastic, isn't it?
What a bunch of geniuses we are.
Sometimes we come up with something really good. And most of the time we don't.
Well, no, we don't. Absolutely. If anybody listened to the last podcast that went on the Driving Home, it was the worst thing we'd ever. It went on there, yes.
Oh my days!
It was the worst unplanned piece of crap we'd ever done that didn't work. But I thought, oh well, I'll stick it up.
It was like watching a car crash in slow motion for about an hour.
The only thing that it wasn't that was the fact that we were actually driving, but we didn't crash the car. No. That would have been the end of it. I thought the perfect end of it. It was awful. So now we've put some. Look, we've even got a settee. Which was so good, he didn't want it.
I could not give it away.
It's it. It's got holes everywhere because
I don't know.
Cats. I don't know what you're doing on settees. And yes, we've got a shelf. I've even painted this wall because it has holes over it, and we're next to the whiteboard of truth. So there's a lot of...
See, I feel quite honoured to be next to that board.
So we're actually putting some effort into this. We've got somewhere to do it. The only thing we're missing, because I'm a tight git, is like them big podcasting mics.
I don't think
like with the big arm.
Yeah, I don't think they do anything.
You can hear us, can't you?
They just look. I mean, it looks like a sexual aid, doesn't it? You're talking into it's a bit fluffy.
It's good thing it's not sponsored by Michelin. Maybe if you had any blankets out, it's probably because we have to. But anyway, we do have a topic which is probably in the title, and it's about PHEVs, plug-in hybrids.
Yeah.
Because, and we're not the only people that bring this up. We genuinely think that there's going to be a bit of a resurgence.
Well, we'd
said the popularity of them.
Yeah.
So when manufacturers,
when we were first introduced to PHEVs as an idea,
what was the first one?
GTE?
Golf GTE? That was an early one.
Yeah, that was an early one.
I mean, obviously...
the
Prius, I don't know when the Prius PHEV came out. So.
Is it the Vauxhall one, the American...
Oh, the Ampera.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, that was a range extender typey thing,
Yeah.
It? So I guess that was the first, but...
We'd always sort of looked at these, haven't we, and gone, they've got this the wrong way around. The BMW
The i3 with the range extender.
And the i8.
i8 had a, yes.
But they get it the wrong way around. Hybrid.
Well, this is the thing. So let's start with why they didn't work, in our opinion, in terms of worst of both worlds rather than best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the tiny battery, big petrol engine. So if you're doing a 10, 20 mile journey, fine. Because that was about...
Well, in summer.
You get 20 miles out of the first ones, wouldn't you, if you're lucky, 15, 20. But as soon as you hit a motorway, it did 100 miles. That battery's depleted so quickly, and you've got a petrol engine then instead of a diesel.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden the
economy
was what, 35, 40. It was awful.
Well, that Volvo we had.
Yeah, that was the V70, I think. It was the estate one, wasn't it?
And that was a PHEV, didn't it?
Yeah, we did a long journey in that.
It was pointless, wasn't it? You just might as well not use the battery.
And we fully charged it before we left. And that's the thing, isn't it? They thought, well, the average journey is 10 miles and this does 20.
Then that's fine.
It gets you to work and back.
Yeah.
But two things. One, that's an average journey. There's obviously lots more that are above that. And two, so many company car drivers I know got one.
Yeah.
Or to be fair, were given one.
Yeah.
And they never ever plugged it in.
I had a friend who had a BMW 330E. Yeah. Never.
No.
Never plugged it in.
Did he even have a charger?
No. He only got it because it was cheaper to get that on the company car than something else.
And that's what's pushed them out, isn't it? But in terms of practicality and actual money saving...
Well, you needed to have destination charging everywhere. You literally have to have destination charging everywhere. Because wherever you travelled, within 10 miles, it would make sense to plug it back in again.
Yep. And now, with the public charging costs... it's too expensive.
It is, yeah.
Even on an AC charger. I mean, it's about the same, maybe even slightly cheaper than petrol, but it's still...
it's not enough of an incentive.
Can't be bothered.
Because the good thing is you're paying extra for having the two technologies together rather than just getting initially a petrol or a diesel.
And most of the most unreliable cars that I've seen, apart from a few obvious, were plug-in hybrid versions. Because let's face it, there's twice... everything an EV's got, everything a petrol engine's got, plus a little in between.
Yeah.
There's so much more to go wrong.
Oh, there is, yeah. I just thought, actually, if the first one, would it have been a Prius?
That was I don't know when it turned into a plug-in.
Plug-in hybrid, of course, yeah. Because initially it wasn't, was it?
No. So it'd have been there or thereabouts.
My brain's going, have we just missed one here?
No, you're probably right with the Ampera.
Yeah.
But that was a range extender.
Yeah.
And like the i3X, the i3 Rex range extender, that is the best way of doing a plug-in hybrid. Big battery, relatively, with a generator.
Yeah.
Not something that's connected to wheels, because when a petrol engine is running at a set rev range,
you can run it at its most efficient.
Most peak efficiency, it's designed for that. It never goes, ooh. That's why you get bad MPG out of a petrol engine, because you have to rev them and different efficiency bands and all that sort of stuff. So that, for me, is by far... Why did that not take on? Because BMW clearly, years ago, went, well, this is the best way of doing it.
I think it's like anything, isn't it? I think, was that too far ahead of its time, really?
Or is it the practicality of manufacturing a car you've already made, and it's like, well, we can't fit a big battery in it, we'll just stick a small one. I
mean, it's almost like we jumped across all that, didn't we? And people didn't really take to it in a massive amount. people either went with a hybrid, which wasn't a plug-in, or they went full electric, didn't they? There wasn't much in the middle.
Or was it just the range is bad by today's standards, but not back then? Because bear in mind that you probably only got 80 to 100 miles out of a Leaf, a full electric car, back then. So doing 20
wasn't
on a PHEV, you're like, well... And if you used it right, it would work.
What did the Outlander do? That was pretty good,
Of course, yeah, that'll have been the new one. But the thing is, the reason why that was so popular is because you could rapid charge it with a CHAdeMO socket. And that was when Ecotricity was free.
Right, of course.
Which is why you got all the PHEVs, all Outlanders, because nothing else used the rapid charger. That's why they always were blocking chargers for actual full EVs that say, well, I can't move. Until you can. So that always caused a lot of disruption. But when they started charging, no one then plugged their Outlander in.
There was no point, was there?
No, there was no point. But that's why they put the CHAdeMO socket in there. They realised that, I mean, what a selling point. Free fuel.
Yeah. If you planned it right, you were doing little journeys.
15, 20 miles, you were done in probably 20 minutes or something, 25 minutes.
Perfect, isn't it?
So everyone took advantage of it. And that's perfect incentivization, isn't it?
Yeah.
People chose to do that because it was better.
Yeah.
Or it was cost efficient. It was better for them cost-wise. And that's why we think PHEV's coming back.
Because it's
they're making sense a bit more now, aren't they? Because let's face it, we are, and this is probably going to be the next podcast, we are miles away from hitting that target, 2035. I mean...
Well, even 2030 with the...
Well, because then you have to have... plug-in hybrid doesn't need to be plugged in.
No.
It's just a petrol car. So for me, it's 2035. But the destination charging is non-existent, and that is the key one. I've said this many times. That's key. Not the big rapid charging hubs. Like you say, you need destination charging, the cheap, slow ones in every supermarket car park.
Just so you can get a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah. So if you can't charge at home, you graze.
Yeah.
You do 10-mile round trips to the supermarket, you come back with 20, 30 extra range. Yeah. That will work. And no one's putting destination chargers in. In fact, some of them are coming out. We've got, I think, 6 or 7 in like the nearest village little co-op thing. Council car park, and they've got 7 of these in. As I understand it, I think it's Pod Point that run they're pulling out of commercial.
Right.
As in everyone, not just with where we are. As far as you understand it, Pod Point are stopping doing commercial stuff. Maybe it's not worth viable financially.
Well, yeah.
Which means that because they're not CCA compliant, I can't remember what the exact... Basically, they have to pull them out. They have to rip them out and put other stuff in. I don't know who's paying for that, but it's council money.
Wow.
And I'm not blaming Pod Point. Well, I'm not blaming Pod Point. I'm just saying that's what we've had for 3 years now.
Yeah.
There's no more. And if anything, it looks like they'll be out of action for a while.
Yeah.
Whereas we need to be putting...
There needs to be more...
25% of
there needs to be more than the demand, doesn't there? The thing is, it's like anything, if you build it, they will come.
And that leads us to why PHEVs are getting better. Because they're getting bigger batteries.
They are, which
is much bigger batteries.
Yeah. So there's a new Range Rover, a Land Rover, will do, is it about 80 miles, something like that?
It's got a 30 kilowatt hour battery.
Wow.
And it's not that new, I don't think now. It's probably been out a year or so, but a 30 kilowatt hour battery is the same size as a Leaf was back then. And I think it'll only do, let's say, 60 miles, because it's probably...
It's a heavy car,
yeah, it's a big car, isn't it? But
even that,
60, 70 miles will do so much more as a percentage of your journeys than 20.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's only another 40 miles. Yeah, but
I bet for most...
How many journeys can you do?
Rapid charge as well.
Yeah, I think it rapid charges.
So for most people...
Well, it will do with the 30.
Most people... That's the thing, is it? For most people, most of the time, that will be fine.
So the petrol engine or diesel, whatever engine they've got, I think it's petrol, will only kick in when you're going above 60, 70 miles.
Right.
Now, a statistic I read not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago, said that 99% of journeys in the UK were under 100 miles. Were under 100 miles.
Yeah,
99% of journeys under 100 miles. Yeah. So if you had 80 miles, 60 miles even, of pure electric, then becomes...
99% of all journeys could be done on full electric.
Yeah, or most of it.
Yeah.
And
what's like, can you imagine the Mini that's out now with a range extender option? Because it'll do, it'll do an all right amount of miles, but I think a lot of people go, well, it's just that time when I think I'm going to run out, or I can't find a charge, or is it? Do you think people just... Do you think it addresses the problem of people worrying that they can't find somewhere to charge?
They don't have to charge, and the worst case scenario is they don't pay as much. And this is the public charging as well.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, you have a PHEV.
Yeah.
You can charge at home.
You can.
You drive, well, let's say we drive to my mum and dad's, 250 miles
Both of us.
away. Both of us. Just,
Oh,
we've done it
they
before. We drive to mum and dad's 250 miles away. They can't charge. As in, we can't charge at their flat. So we're not going to use public charging because it's probably about the same cost as the petrol.
Yes, you're going to just fill it up with petrol.
So you're just going to put petrol in. But for when you're at home, you can get the benefit of the cheap nighttime tariff and all that sort of stuff. So that suits the interim period because we're not ready for the full EV period.
No, we've not got the infrastructure in place, have we? We've not got...
The rapid charging network is getting to the point where it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's busy and you might have to wait, but
it's better than
you can go up and down the country with no issues at all, can't you?
But it's just the destination.
It's the destination charges. The people, think about it, if your car's sat there for 8 hours at work, even on a 3-pin plug, that's going to give you another 8 hours, 16 to 18 kilowatt hours. Another 20-30% on your car. So you'll finish work and you'll have probably a full battery on a 7 kilowatt charger, certainly. So you won't need to charge at home.
That's what we all need then, isn't it?
So partially it's the public charging cost, which means that only people at home can take advantage of it. So, for example, I've got the Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, for now anyway, 3 supercharge points.
You have.
So I can drive to my mum and dad's and back, 600 miles round trip, for free.
Yeah.
Or I could take a press car and not pile the miles on my car.
But then
I'll have to use a rapid charging network and the Genie point at the hotel we stayed in, which is convenient. So this is a rapid charger.
Yeah.
So you can't leave it more than
you're going to get a fine, are you?
Yeah, if you've leave it plugged in for an hour. So you have to go out. But anyway, it's convenient. It's literally in the car park of the hotel. So I did this with the Ioniq 6.
Yeah.
Drove it down, charged it up, drove it back. So it had a big enough battery so we didn't need to stop. Although we did stop because someone needed toilet and things.
You?
No. But then when someone mentions it, you go...
You realise how much you're wasting, yeah?
How much do you reckon that cost me at Genie Point? It's not one of the cheaper tariffs out there. There are cheaper ones like Tesla and Ecotricity.
All right, I'm going to go... Let's go 70, 75 pence.
No, 85 pence per kilowatt.
Whoa, and I was going...
It cost me 83 quid to fill the battery up.
Wow.
That was more than they would do in the Mini, when we had the Mini.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the TT. 3.2 V6, probably get 35 miles per gallon on the long run.
Well,
it probably cost me about that, maybe a bit more.
Well, I drove mine back from Essex with a full tank.
The TT?
Yeah, I got mine. And I had just over a third of a tank when I got back. And that was driving in appalling weather. And that was, 65, 70 quid to fill that?
Yeah. So that's my point. When the public charging infrastructure is so expensive that you're either barely...
You're being punished for it.
Yeah, you're barely benefiting from charging.
Yeah.
You think, well, what's the point?
It needs to be, at worst case, it needs to be comparable.
So when you think about people's generic laziness...
Yeah.
Oh, I am doing it. I can't be bothered with that. I can't be bothered. Some people can't be bothered to plug in at home.
I get that still going, God, you're like pain in the ass charging your car at home. What?
Yeah, it takes all of 10 seconds.
I've got to press the screen.
Yeah, maybe twice a week.
Yeah. And then go and just go, yeah, that's terrible.
But factoring in human nature
yeah,
means that a plug-in hybrid is a better option than forcing something which isn't ready yet.
Oh, yeah, and also it's a nice footstep, isn't it? Because the thing is,
get it then, don't
from
you?
Jumping from a petrol or diesel where you literally can see all the places where you can refuel and go, oh, it's really easy. I just do this, and then 5 minutes later I'm driving off to somewhere where you're like going, I've got to plan this. I've got to go to a Morrison's, or I've got to go to an Aldi. I've got to try and find somewhere. Yeah. It's a big game change, isn't it? So having somewhere where you've got, shall I say, the best of both? You can at least have either dual fuel.
Yeah, I mean, Fully Charged, for example, for years have said they hate plug-in hybrids, and I get it why, because it was based
it's a necessity, though.
It was based on bad implementation of them. Yeah. Whereas if you get, I don't know what a smaller car, Range Rover's a bit excessive in it, but if you get a smaller car with a 20 kilowatt battery, that's going to do 50 to 60 miles easy, probably more, to be honest. On full electric. So if you've got a range, say, forget the battery size, a range of at least 60 miles on full electric, that will encourage people to adopt it, because it's like, oh, you don't have to plug it in if you don't want to.
No.
And we have to accept that human beings are human beings.
They are.
And there's no point in saying you must get a full electric vehicle, even in 2035, if there's genuinely nowhere for them to charge because they can't charge at home.
Well,
I would not have an EV now, and I've had one for 10 years, if I couldn't charge.
You need to be able to charge at home.
Would you?
No. So maybe the plug-in hybrid then is that bridge in between. You don't have to be able to charge it at home. It's a very nice to have, but if you can destination charge it at a reasonable rate.
So that there's two things that need to happen here. The public charging needs to come down for the incentivization.
Yeah.
Then people will choose it. Just look at the Outlanders. It was free. Granted, that's a bit excessive. It was free, so everybody charged.
And it was a car at the time that...
Well,
the thing is that people wanted a big car, an SUV style car.
How many people would have bought a Mitsubishi if it wasn't for the fact they could get free fuel for it? Even though it lasted a few years.
They did seem to sell a lot. There's a lot second-hand for sale.
But I bet it was purely because of that.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they put Chademo onto it. Well, that too, yeah. I mean, it was a good car. And it's not a bad car by any means, but it just shows you what incentivization can do to people's buying habits.
Yeah.
So, did you just hear that noise then?
I did. I think that's...
Has a certain courier arrived, do you think?
Might have done.
How long have we been going for? 22 minutes. Now, should we eat the curry and then do the podcast? Or should we be really professional and literally... I think,
right?
I think
and then just tip it down yourself.
Yeah, we'd better take this off. This has got to last several podcasts if we carry on the fake podcast sponsorship thing. So, no, I think ultimately we'll wind up this and come back to the PHEV thing. The car would incentivise people, I think, if it was cheaper to buy than the petrol-only or diesel-only version and cheaper to fuel. Then people will pick it.
What we do is we don't put any car tax on it, road tax, and then after about 5 or 6 years, we do.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? How can you push people to somewhere that's going to be, literally, we're going to ban you if you don't change soon,
and then
after you've taken everything away?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who's in charge. I don't want to get political here. They're both doing the same thing. VAT would be an easy solution to at least make it a bit cheaper for public charging.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, we're in this almost apartheid situation where if you can home charge, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's so cheap. Cheaper. I'm paying, I think, 25 quid for 1,000 miles of fuel.
Yeah.
But if you can't charge at home, it really makes zero sense. Because even if you were willing to, and there are people out there, even if you had the infrastructure, I'd be looking at the figures and going, I'm like 20 quid a month better off.
Yeah, and then the thing is,
I'm having to go to so many places.
Unless you're getting it as a company vehicle, you're generally paying more for the electric. New, of course.
Yeah.
It's just something else you've got to do, isn't it? I've got to spend half an hour, 45 minutes, once a week, twice a week, sat there while it's charging itself.
And the incentivization for me is financial for most people.
It was going to be.
You need to appeal to people's wallet.
There's going to be financial is going to be the main one, isn't it? You are going to get people doing it for greener reasons, but the finances are going to make people will choose that if it is financially better for them, won't they?
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, if you can get somebody into an EV and they drive it, a lot of them go, "Oh God, this is so much easier to drive than a petrol or a diesel or a."
The next car
is the full
from
one.
a PHEV is a full EV, isn't it? Yeah. They used to say it's a gateway drug for that, because people go, well, I've nailed it. They challenge themselves, don't they? I've done a full week and I've only used electric.
Yeah.
So, well, you might as well just got an EV then.
When I had the Neros back to back.
Oh, they had the standard hybrid, the plug-in hybrid, and the full EV.
Yeah, and the plug-in hybrid was brilliant. I could do, I would say, 80-90% of my general work day on just full battery.
And that did about 25 miles? It was a bit more than the early stuff.
About 25, about 25.
In the real world.
But the thing is, when it was on battery, it drove so much better. It was a lot smoother.
Yeah. Oh, because the engines are usually pretty poor. Yeah. And that's another thing.
So we went onto its engine, it was just like, oh God, it's lost all of its torque.
Well, yeah, you do need that, don't you? But no, I mean, I don't agree with getting rid of a deadline, because ultimately the deadline was there.
Need to have an ambition.
Yeah, the deadline was there for manufacturers, not us.
Yeah.
Because they were literally saying, we need to know when we're tooling for this, when we're designing, because they're working 8-9 years in advance.
Well, they've got to.
So I can understand why they give you the deadline, but I almost guarantee, I could put a bet on now, and we've said this for a few years as well, that deadline will get put back.
It's going to have
It won't get cancelled.
No.
It'll get put back because when we get to 2030 something and there's an election at whatever year, that I guarantee, vote me in.
Yeah,
I'm going to push that back. I'm going to
cancel it or whatever.
But it will happen, and it probably has to. The deadline should be the charging infrastructure.
People don't like being told what to do, though, do they? If you tell somebody they have to do it, you're going to get a percentage of people going, "Well, I'm not doing that just because you've told them to do it." But
isn't it the wrong deadline? So the deadline is you cannot own one. You can't buy a new one after 2035. But shouldn't it be all car parks have to have a percentage of charge points by this point? Yeah. And here's the grants, here's the subsidies to help you put them in.
I don't think we should stop people buying a petrol car if they want to buy one. I just think that it needs to be either the tax goes up on it, or that the first 4 years are going to cost you so much extra.
Like the Norway model.
Yeah, it needs to be that you can have one. We're not going to stop you from getting one, but it's going to cost you a little bit more. And if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine.
And on a progressive scale, almost weight, for example,
and it's not going. And the thing is, even then, I can't imagine it's going to be for everybody. If you're living somewhere very remote, you might need to have a petrol, diesel. Or do you go for the hybrid at that point?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because for me, technology will ultimately solve the issue. In 10, 20, 30 years' time, we will end up with EVs doing 500 miles without breaking a sweat. Solid-state batteries, maybe, something like that, where you'll be charging up in 5-10 minutes anyway.
The weight will be down.
Yeah, all the way up. So ultimately, this is, for me, a temporary problem.
It is, but
for 2 or 3 decades.
It's that step in between there and there. And it's too big a jump for a lot of people and for the technology at the moment.
But we need the manufacturers to produce correct plug-in hybrids.
And we're happy to consult with Porsche, BMW.
That Mazda does
Are we bothered with Mercedes?
No. Not Volvo either. That Mazda does exist.
Does it?
The REV.
Yeah.
So it's a range extender EV. I think it does 80, 90 miles on the battery, and it's just got the engine generator.
What sort of engine's got it?
A Wankel engine.
Yeah, it's a nice word.
Wankel.
So I thought I dreamt that. I like Mazda Mecca.
No, I remember them announcing it years ago. It's taken them ages to bring it out.
Because it was a big thing for them, wasn't it? They were bringing it back, essentially, just for that.
Well, it's perfect for that because it's really efficient at the standard battery, and it should be reliable as well. But that...
I would love to drive one then.
I'm going to ask about getting one, actually. I need to contact them again. But 90 miles...
No, that's
it's going to do 90% of everybody's journeys.
Yeah.
Apart from the travelling salesman, it's going to do everything in it. And then for those little extra long journeys or the bit where you forgot to plug it in, you've got the petrol engine.
Yeah, just a...
But it's a generator. The 20-mile range plug-in hybrid is pointless.
No, it needs to be able to do... Yeah,
and that's the difference. They seem to be actually designing chassis with this in mind, rather than... I think maybe they were restricted with, we've got a Skoda Superb and we can only fit that size battery in without having no boot.
Yeah.
So let's give it a tiny battery that does 15 miles.
I guess the thing is, I don't know how long manufacturers have had to design all this and to implement it all. And the fact that technology and stuff keeps changing, it's probably not been the easiest journey for a lot of these companies.
Well, it drives innovation, I guess. And some manufacturers have got no issues at all with what's going on and are selling loads.
Yeah.
And some, Ford, for example, and who were borrowing technology from other manufacturers to make their EVs.
What have Ford done really in terms of...
So that's their choice. Yeah. So all these manufacturers saying, we need, you're going to kill us by this mandate. No, other manufacturers haven't got a problem.
No.
You screwed up.
For instance, look at all the Chinese manufacturers now who are coming out. There is so... it's all these big manufacturers are going,
with them, can you?
we can't do it, and these Chinese manufacturers are going,
we'll do it then, yeah.
And we'll do, to be fair, the ones that I've driven, a pretty good job at it.
Well, yeah.
Look at the MGs.
Another 10 years, they'll be European-esque.
Yeah.
In their sort of quality.
Somebody at the door.
I don't know. They're going in. She'll be eating the curry. Well, we might as well finish what we're doing because we're not too far off. But going back to it, for me, it's the car. If it gives you a decent range, like we've said, then a plug-in hybrid makes sense. We're not saying all plug-in hybrids.
No,
the Range Rover.
It needs to have a decent amount, doesn't it?
What's that? 20 miles per gallon, 15 miles per gallon in a standard without anything. And was it Harry and Matt Cars getting 75 out of it? But he's plugging it in.
Yeah.
And I know that's an expensive car, it's a bad example, but it just shows you that the incentivization of the tax and all that sort of stuff has driven someone to pick it.
Well, this is exactly what you need, isn't it? People will make the right decision.
The deadline is wrong. It shouldn't be on the cars, it should be on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
You must have this in place by 2035, so then people will naturally choose the EVs. Not you must get the EVs and then we'll hope someone builds the infrastructure. Because I feel for the charge point manufacturers in some ways on the networks, because they're charging that much. And the CEOs keep coming out saying, we have to.
There's not a massive amount of money to be made, is it?
Not at the moment. There's not enough cars.
You look at it going, well, is there any point setting up all these if we're not going to get people using them? It needs some investment, doesn't it? That's what it really does.
There needs to be massive grant subsidies, whatever you want, for car park owners to put these in, because they're not going to do it for themselves.
You're not going to make your money back in the first. It's a bit like if you're under a whiskey distillery. The first 10 years, you're not going to make pretty much money, are you?
Because you're just
you're just storing it, aren't you? You're keeping it there, and it's the same with these charges, isn't it? You're going to have them there as a facility, but until there are the need for that in the future, they're there just losing money.
But so are we saying then, going back full circle, that the PHEVs are going to get more popular with
I think we're going to see PHEVs. I think
from the 2030 deadline as well.
Yeah. And from what I've heard from various news sources, the left and right on the internet, is that there's a lot of people who have had or who have EVs that are thinking of going new PHEV, just because it's more convenient for them.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? People.
It's convenience.
Well, yeah, and if you're financially secure, saving, or you just don't do a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Saving, £50 a month ain't a game changer. Well, £100 a month. So it's like, well, convenience over money.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, if you don't do a lot of miles, an electric car makes less and less sense to me.
Well, my mum and dad, their 2011 Fiesta. Bear in mind, in the first few years, they did actually use it. So I don't know what the last 5, 6, 7 years will look like. That's on 43,000 miles, something like that. It's 14 years old.
Yeah.
And in the first year, few years, they probably did the lion's share of that. Yeah. So they're probably doing 2,000 miles a year, maybe.
Just town and back.
So if they got an EV,
it's not
going to save them anything in fuel.
No. It'd be nice to have.
Well, yeah,
but it's not from a financial point of view. It's
because they're not doing the miles.
Yeah.
A plug-in hybrid would suit their purpose in terms of they're only going to town and back.
Yeah.
But occasionally they might go further afield to Colchester or something like that, where you would then realistically need a 150 mile, a modern EV. You won't get a cheap Zoe or something like that.
It's not going to do, is it?
So for them, and for the fact that I'd be like, you know what, rather than show them how to use an EV at the moment in the charge points, the PHEV would get rid of a lot of the...
And if your dad starts talking
What's this
charges, it's just going to be, they're going to be there
hello! Mum usually watches this. I don't know if she'll be watching the full podcast. So hello, if you are, send us a text right now. Get your phone out, send us a text and say, yes, I am listening, you cheeky little...
So-and-so.
But no, seriously, for them, a plug-in hybrid would make more sense because they're doing so little miles. Convenience is a bigger factor than cost.
Yeah.
And let's face it, there's probably 1%, 2% of people out there that will pick something for environmental reasons.
I think so, yeah.
We've got to appeal to humans.
Yeah.
Not force them into something, which has then produced the backlash. The anti-EV mob that I always take the mick out of would not exist if they'd listened to us and did what we said.
Well, after 2035, I can't have my cars. Well, you can. Yeah, you can.
You just can't buy a new one.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't exist, would it? Because the government are telling them to do something. That's the only reason.
People don't like it.
Yeah.
People do not like being told what to do. It's just how we are,
especially anti-government types.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you how it is. No, you're not. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Even if it is better for you,
it's like kids, isn't it?
I don't care.
Tell kids what to do and they go, I'm not doing that. What are you about?
So I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like we don't want to get too deep in it. It's like the drug problem. Rather than pretend it don't exist, let's accept it will always exist because it has done for centuries, and try and manage it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this. We need to manage
giving people the options, isn't it? This is what you can have.
And make them pick it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's definitely a good percentage of people out there that need to kick up the butt.
Well, if it's my decision and I've come to that decision to have that, then I'm happy with it. If I've been forced on that, even if I would be happy with it, I'm going, I didn't really want that one.
Some people will need forcing, though, because they will stick with
What they know.
Because we've seen it many times in IT, haven't we? It's like, oh, no, I've always used this. I don't want to use that. And then they use it and, it's better. I just didn't want...
I don't like change. Older people, do you think? People our age and older are going to stick with it? Oh, I like petrol and blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, because if I asked Alice, in 2-3 years when you pass your test, would you mind if I got an EV? She wouldn't even bat an eyelid. No. Well, am I not getting that? Yeah, because it's normal.
Yeah, that's what.
It's our generation and older that will have the biggest issue with this.
Yeah.
But you still have to have the practicality of... Imagine you can charge at home.
Yeah.
What would you do genuinely? I mean, think about where you live...
Oh, God, where would I... I'd have to...
Where could you go that wouldn't... it's going to be more inconvenient.
Well, the closest Tesla charger is 12 miles away.
Where's that?
Bradford have got one now.
Have they? Right. All right, there we go.
Does mean a trip to Bradford.
But how long's that in time?
Oh, it can be...
About an hour?
If
you got to go through the city centre.
Depends what time it is. Yeah. Worst case scenario, it's going to be 90 minutes.
But Best what about destination charges? Is the supermarkets that you visit have got anything like that? I'm trying to think of all this. Sainsbury's hasn't, has it?
Sainsbury's hasn't. Aldi, they've got a new store. They've got something, but I don't know if it's work.
And it'll be one or two.
Well, no, they've got a good quarter of the car park.
Oh.
But there's nothing there. There's just the markings there. Some of them look to have destination charges there, but they don't look to be set up.
So they're planning for the future. But Aldi are known for... They've had solar panels for years. They're very good at pushing this.
But until... I mean, it would have to be... And I say, work. I could get work to get one and pay them for their electric. Or...
You go site to site a lot,
This is it, yeah. That's not going to work either. I'd have to go and get every site that I go to.
Schools essentially would have to get charges.
In all honesty, if I couldn't charge at home, I would have probably a diesel or a petrol. I don't know.
Well, probably a diesel. It gets to the point where you go, I can't have that. That's going to save me money, so I might as well just go for a gas guzzler and have fun. That's my mentality, and it's forget it. Then it's like when you have a diet and you go, well, if I'm going to have something that's vaguely bad, I might as well just have a takeaway.
Really bad, yeah.
And because again, it's the human condition, isn't it?
Well, I've had a curry, so I might as well just have some chocolate.
In for a penny,
and then tomorrow,
in for a penny, in for a pound. But no, so. Yeah, the deadline won't happen. In fact, we'll talk about the deadline in a future one, but the PHEVs will come back because I think manufacturers have seen a need, and other countries have got, like initial tax on the new car purchase, which are really driving people down that line as well. And it's not, we've got to remember, they don't make cars for the UK anymore.
No, we're a tiny market, aren't we?
It's like that.
Europe's even quite a small market in terms of the global market now.
But even if you viewed Europe, France have a completely different system to us in terms of the VED, what we call VED, the road tax. Germany will have their own system. So if you've got Europe doing one thing and the UK is doing another, you're going to still design your cars for Europe.
Yeah.
Or the world.
And then they've got to make them right-hand drive.
Well, yeah. So
give us tiny glove boxes.
I think it will happen, won't it?
He's gone in here, but
because
it does need something in between now and then.
Well, people are... I feel an impending backlash at the moment, not from the anti-EV mob, but from the people who, not for a few years, we're going to get to the point where they're going to look around and go, all right, I'll buy one of these because I have to. Where am I going to charge?
Yeah.
And all the government, so I've spoken to many councils and helped some of them. And
you have a block of flats.
Well, yeah, my mum and dad.
Where are you going to...
I mean, there's ways and means, like I say, grazing, but that means private money has to be involved because all the car parks have to put money. So that's the incentive. But there was a big, I think it was a county council meeting, and they all went to it about EV stuff, and the government were there to speak, someone from the government. And basically they said, you have to have a certain percentage in council car parks,
right?
Not every car park, in council car parks, by this date. And as I understand, I might get some of this wrong, but the general gist is someone said, we ain't getting any money.
Yeah.
So genuinely, we're so cash strapped. We can't do this. Where are we going to get the money from? How are we going to do this?
Where's the grant for this?
Do you know what the response was?
What was that?
You'll have to find a way.
Wow. So that's bins being collected once a month.
What good is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know money is tight. So you think, okay, given the current situation, the economy, maybe for that alone, it's worth another 5-year pushback.
Mm.
And therefore, plug-in hybrids, I think the plug-in hybrid will stay 2030 because, again, plug-in hybrid that's not plugged in is just a petrol car.
Yeah.
I can believe that will happen at 2030, but not the 2035 because...
It's just too soon.
Well, it won't happen. I mean, we're 9 years off.
Yeah, we don't see it.
So 13 years for some
Not unless
people.
they're going to do it all at the end.
but it's not the government or the council that we'll probably have to worry about. It's all the car parks that are privately owned.
Yeah, which
all
is
the
not
out-of-town
good.
shopping centres. You go to a cinema, if you could charge for 3 hours on a 7 kilowatt charger, it's more than enough.
Brilliant, yeah.
You'd end up with another, 20, 30, 40% on your car.
Yeah.
But why would a cinema spend thousands, even on the cheaper ones, because you know how much it costs to dig a car?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of pounds.
It's not even that, is it? It's the electrical network as well. Having to upgrade all of that.
Well, I won't say where, but again, this is another story coming from one of the councils, and they said that they were putting these charge points in a car park next to some train lines.
Ah, right, okay.
And it took 6 months or something to that effect to go through all the planning, because the power grid have to go, we'll get the we'll get the cables from here,
it's a bit like
blah,
SimCity.
blah, blah. Yeah, essentially. It's got to be approved, got to go to tender, blah, 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 blah. And then 2 days before the install, whoever was going to do the physical installation went, yeah, we're not doing that because it's within this boundary of a train line.
Right.
And you got to get permission by, I guess,
rail
or something. And, well, but you've known it's been on the diagram. You've known it's been there. Oh, well, no one did it. So it then got delayed another 6 months.
Wow. And did they get any?
Probably, yeah. But you see what I mean? It's bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Gone mad. I mean, one of the, again, without saying which county council, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, they said it was going to cost them because they had to cross a river from wherever the power grid station or wherever they had to wire this thing up from, a multi-storey car park, I think it was. They had to cross a river and then get the cable to the place and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
£625,000. That was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Just to get the infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
The council ain't going to pay for
No.
because they can't.
They can't. They've got no money.
Exactly. So it's
So who is going to pay for this then?
So that's the key, isn't it? If the government say we can't afford to give you a grant,
It's private investment. But then, if
there's not enough money to make from it unless you charge people a fortune.
Yeah, so it's broken then, isn't it?
So we have to wait until the government can afford it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, do you make the likes of Shell and Esso?
Well, we're getting into politics that good.
Yeah.
What maybe a certain EV manufacturer owner could pay tax, not in this country, but
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Could be anybody we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know who. But you know what I mean? It's however they do it.
There needs to
the realities are at the moment the economy just doesn't support the amount of money it would cost
to implement this right now.
Just for councils.
Yeah.
We've got to somehow incentivise private car park. Can you imagine if you've got a restaurant and you have 30 spaces in a pub?
Yeah.
30 spaces.
Not half of them.
And even if you say 10,
yeah.
that's probably a 25 grand investment for them.
Well, you got to think
the points and the infrastructure.
10 at 7 kilowatts, that ends up being a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. And although it wouldn't be 10 times 7, it could be. So
it could be, yes. So you have to...
And they can throttle it down. They can say, it's only 2 or 3 are going to be in full use at any one time. But the pub owner will go, okay,
what am I getting for
if
this?
I spend 35 grand, that's brilliant. People will come and charge. But are more people going to come to do that than they are now?
Yeah.
To get me 35 grand back.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's got to be some sort of grant, subsidy, whatever you want to call it.
To pay for that.
To get it in there. Because then the guy will go, it's not costing me out, or it's costing me very little.
Like a European grant for something.
to go down there. But it's right, isn't it? And that's why a plug-in hybrid, done properly, is going to become a more common option, I think. Yeah. For the lazy people, for the people who don't give a monkeys, as well as for those that have no choice.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? No choice.
I think it will become the default go-to is a plug-in hybrid.
You're not going to have standard petrol.
No.
And why do they never... I've never looked into this. Why do they never do a plug-in hybrid diesel? I know there's a few out there.
Maybe it's emissions. I mean, the diesel engine just seems to be disappearing completely. I did hear quite a bit on, after Dieselgate, they were going to bring in the Euro 7s.
Oh, it's been postponed.
It would mean that no manufacturer would make it. That's why Volkswagen went to full electric.
Because it was cheaper than getting the engines to
it just wasn't
Euro
going to
7.
happen, I don't think.
I think 6F now or something. I think
the thing is that what happened after the whole Dieselgate is that Europe went, what we'll do is we'll look at what we're going to do past Euro 6, and they just took it way too far.
You now need to meet these emissions.
Yeah, and it would not have worked.
No, so you have to accept the reality of people aren't infallible.
If only Volkswagen hadn't cheated the system to try and sell diesels in America.
Well, everywhere, not just America.
I think it was Americans though to get the.
Oh, we got nothing for it.
It was to sell them in California, from what I remember. I might be wrong.
But yeah, it's. I don't mind a plug-in hybrid if it's done right. As I said, a range extender for me is the absolutely the one, because you could just run on petrol if you want.
It's lighter weight as well.
Yeah,
you don't have a massive engine in there, do you? You've effectively got a generator.
It's still more complex, isn't it? Though, because you've got two drivetrains instead of one, and it will be less reliable over the life of the car.
I don't know. I was speaking
they'll get it.
Yeah, speaking to taxi drivers about this.
Well, the Prius certainly.
Speaking to a taxi driver, he actually had a plug-in hybrid. And I says, "Well, why don't you go full electric?" And his reason for it was, "This is my car. This is my job. If this breaks, I know I can get this fixed. If a full electric breaks,
of course, yeah,
I don't know if I'm waiting for parts." He had a Prius, plug-in hybrid Prius, because I don't know if I'm waiting for parts. I don't know. I've got to have a spare car.
Well, that is the problem, isn't it? Even the main dealers, sometimes you're waiting 6-7 weeks for the EV specialist to come and fix it. But again, that will only happen when there's enough EVs to fix.
It's that tipping point, isn't it? Yeah. It gets to a point where it does become, of course we've got that in stock.
Do you think it's because the 2035 deadline is so far off? It's like, well, we can pick that because we know we ain't going to be responsible for it. Yeah. We ain't going to be here by the time that kicks in.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, isn't it? It's like saying, right, I'm going to do this, but by then I'll be retired, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. How many head teachers did I speak to? I went, let's buy all this. I'm like, you don't need it. Yeah, but I'm not going to be here next year, so I don't care what it's like. Yeah. Okay then. And it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? And I genuinely believe that 2035 will get pushed back because politically it'll be a big election promise.
It will be, yeah. People will go, I want to keep this.
But I genuinely think it's going to have to happen anyway, because I mean, what's going to happen with petrol cars? Are they going to be worth a fortune because it's going to be the only option? If
it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's. I think in the interim,
PHEVs.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the interim, if America are going to do as they said and drill, we're going to see petrol coming down, so that it is more cost effective to have a petrol as opposed to a PHEV or a EV that you can only charge on the public network.
I suppose it comes down to the fact that whether you believe EVs are genuinely better environmentally, and they have the potential to be phenomenally cleaner. Yeah, because the technology of the battery will get cleaner. The generation can come from new renewable energy.
I've seen some recent reports on 90% of the battery can be recycled.
Oh, but people always say, you can't recycle the batteries. Go to your tip.
There's a battery recycling.
There's a massive battery bank for like normal batteries. They've been there decades.
There's nobody doing this now. Well, no, this company's starting. This is how things work, doesn't it?
And they're reused somewhere else.
Before we had aeroplanes, there weren't people manufacturing and repairing aeroplanes. Do you know that?
Did you not?
No.
So
it's funny that, isn't it?
So what did they do with the first aeroplanes then?
I just figure it out themselves, pretty much, yeah.
It just takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look, 10, 15 years after the smartphone revolution, we have phone repair shops.
Oh, everywhere.
If someone can make money from it, people will turn up.
Yeah.
The fact that EVs haven't been around long enough to have a modern cottage industry is the reason why we haven't got what we have. I mean, that's partly an issue for me.
Yeah.
There's nowhere local, or even close to local, that's willing to have a shot at a full EV, like a proper problem.
Yeah, they'll look at basic things.
Outside of dealerships.
I'll do your brakes.
Well, yeah, brakes, suspension are fine. And then I guess less EVs, or EVs will need less repair.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head about the ECU, didn't you? Yeah. Before the ECU, people going,
I remember article after article on that.
Garages won't be able to look for this, it'll cost them thousands. And now it's the only way of diagnosing a car.
Yeah, and every garage has got one.
If it's not on the reader, they don't have a clue, do they?
You can get one at home.
Yeah, it's £20 to buy an OBD2
I really remember, because Mum and Dad were looking at a new car, and it was like, has it got an ECU? I was like, well, of course it has.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, well, can someone repair them? And it was literally, it was these like this. It was the EV thing, but what, 1990s, I guess?
Like Auto Express or something.
Yeah, like it's gonna, and the Daily Mail. It's gonna put garages out of business because you need all this fancy, really expensive equipment. But once it gets to, there was, I was talking to a heat pump engineer who serviced ours, and he goes, the whole heat pump regassy thing, which is like the analogy for an EV. He said there's not many people doing it because the equipment's expensive. Mm-hmm. But it says when you have a gas boiler service, they've got like, is it a flue sensor or something? They've got sensors or something that detect gas. It's more of a safety check in it than a service. It said they were really expensive until they made it mandatory that everyone had to do one. And then they got cheap. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're old enough to remember when
same thing
with monitors, when you had CRT monitors, the old style TV monitors, and flat screens came in, and they were £1,000 for like a 14-inch flat screen when they first came out. You're like, I'm never going to be able to afford to get one of these. And now what, 50, 60 quid for a small one, 70 quid?
Well, you can get a 100-inch for
it's
like
TV.
1,500 quid now. Yeah. I saw something online recently that said the only thing that's got cheaper as I'm getting older are TVs. That'd have been £1 million for a 100-inch 5-10 years ago.
Exactly.
It's 1,500 quid. So if technology will fix it. Technology will solve the problem ultimately, like it does with everything, because there's money to be made there.
Yeah.
But for now, the stopgap is, unfortunately, I think, the plug-in hybrid. There'll be 50% of the population that goes straight to EV, because they can charge it up nice and easy.
And then the rest of them.
And the rest, well, there'll be more than that probably, but the rest will probably go down to a PHEV. A chunk of them will never charge it.
Yeah.
And then a chunk of them will, and then go, oh, this is quite good. So all of a sudden you end up with 60%, then 70%.
Yeah. It's going to be over a long, long time.
So I wonder what's going to happen, and we'll finish on this then. What's going to happen to the last 5 years worth of petrol cars, whether they're PHEVs or not?
Oh, I hope it goes out with a massive bang.
No, I mean, are they going to really hold the value for those diehards that will not go electric? No, are you going to end up with a, say, oh, well, it's got low mileage, it's petrol, I don't have to charge it, it's 2040 now?
I think you're going to get the classics and the collectibles, aren't you? But I think the thing is when...
People going to hang on to them?
Imagine this as the other way around, in that you're struggling to find places to buy petrol.
Do you think
it's going to happen?
That's going to happen.
Eventually.
Are there less petrol stations now than there were 10 years ago?
Well, I've noticed lots that have shut down in my time driving 4 years?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there used to be some West Lane and...
There used to be loads, yeah. Lots of places now shut down that were petrol
supermarkets
stations.
Have kind of taken over for the convenience.
Yeah, so I wonder if eventually it will flip to be that. There'll still be some there.
We're decades off, aren't we, though?
Decades off, but... when it becomes that much of an inconvenience, it'll be like, the horse. I'll take it out on a Sunday.
Well, yeah. So ultimately what we're saying is some people do need a kick up the arse and a ban. Like when they tell people to wear seatbelts.
Yeah.
You have to make it...
I've got rights. I have to wear them.
Yeah, I don't know. I should be allowed to...
human rights there.
How many YouTube videos about when they ban drinking?
Yeah.
Drink driving, rather. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm fine. I've only had 5 pints. I'm fine.
You still drink and drive. Whereas I think of as an Englishman, I deserve to drive on the road pissed.
There's literally people saying that. I should be allowed to drive when I've just had a few. I can drive perfectly well.
Yes.
And now it's...
How dare a police officer say that I have no time to drink? So and now you wouldn't... Well, now the majority of us wouldn't dream of drink driving. Or even driving the day after you've had a...
And it's the same with EVs, isn't it? People don't like being told, but some people have to be. But for the rest... 95%, it has to be worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to do the man maths. And without the man maths, well, this wouldn't exist.
No, it wouldn't, no.
Well, I think we are done with our first on the main channel only for now. Going to Driving Home, the second channel.
For the next ones.
And on Spotify and all that sort of stuff. I think we're done there.
We're done. Well, how long are we doing in the end?
Oh, hang on a minute. I just need to stretch. Oh.
54 minutes.
Ow.
I've got somebody else's top on. It's got their name on it. Look.
Oh, right. Oh, is it Michael's? Oh, Michael's in.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, Michelle in. Cool. Do I put that like that?
Oh, yeah, you look... Oh, I want to know what I look like. No.
We look like... Do you know when you get people who go to school to talk about how bad drugs are? Kids, don't do drugs.
Otherwise you'll look like me.
That's better.
No, it's good. So yeah, we're back with Driving On, and we're going to be sensible this time. We're going to do it fortnightly.
Yeah.
Because we have to realistically do it and have time to do it.
And pad it out a bit.
Yeah, and pad it out a bit, and that gives us we're going to get a buffer.
Yeah.
And no doubt there'll be times where we miss a week or two because of life.
Oh, a useful thing, I suppose, is if you have got a subject that you would like us to do a bit of...
Absolutely.
Because after a while, we do run out of things to believe it or not. He runs out of things to say. I don't know.
I just look at year-old videos and go, I've done that for a while. Yeah.
For me.
Oh yes, top 10 used EVs change all the time. It's perfect.
Do, yeah.
So yeah, that'd be good. Give us any ideas you want to talk about. Although we've got quite a list, and sometimes
we can't promise it.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be topical, as in what's going on at the time.
Yeah.
But this is probably a good thing that we're not sponsored. And I'll say it again, we're not. This is a joke. No. Because if we were, we'd have to do it every time.
We would.
There's
no point getting sponsored to do it because you have to commit then, don't you? And knowing us.
I don't know, if I showed you an email and go, these people want to sponsor Harry, should we do more podcasts and look at the figures? Yeah. You just have to play it by yourself for a few hours and go in and I'm just going out for a while. No, so yes, that's it. Driving is back, and I think we'll end it there. Yeah. I think. I think we used to do something at the end. Oh, that was it. Yes. The last words for those that are new. The last sentence phrase always comes from Harry, and it literally stops after he says the words
wankle.